Hello and welcome to Country Life Simple. A lot of you wanted a recipe with some wheat flour, so today that's what you're getting. My mum just arrived from Germany. She loves her wheat bread. My husband loves it anyway. I'm not a big fan, but I've got 2 people eating it, so it'll be fine. So join me today in making a 100% wheat bread. I'm using plain flour for this recipe. Baker's flour would be better, but I haven't got any, so I'm using plain flour. It'll work, I'm sure. Come on and join me. All right, here I have 210 grams of plain flour. Baker's flour is better because it has more gluten and it rises better, but I haven't got any. So this is just 200 grams of plain flour. And I'm adding 155 milliliters of water. And 60 grams of Sourdough. Tear the scale first. And then I'll leave it for about 6 to 8 hours. It is a warm day. We will have degrees in our 30s here today in central Queensland. So it should double in size by that time. We'll mix it all up nicely. It is now 6 hours later and this has risen. And you probably can't see the air bubbles there, but there's air bubbles in here, there's air bubbles there. So this is ready to go. In the bowl I've got 450 grams of plain flour. 450 grams of plain flour. I'm going to add the sourdough pre-dough. Oh, that looks good. Has that nice sour smell. And I'm also adding 250 grams of water. And I'm gonna add 10 grams of butter and 15 grams of salt. Yep, that's a lot of salt, I know, but that will give it some flavor. All right, and now I'm gonna mix this all up. Once it's kneaded, we just leave it, we rest it for an hour. And then we'll take a look at it. All right, after 1 hour, we take the dough and put it on a floured surface. So if you have used baker's flour, you probably have a little bit more structure than what I have at the moment. As you can tell, mine is pretty soft. I just use plain flour. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get some structure in, and I'm trying to create some tension. I'm trying to create one smooth surface. The bottom, I guess, is supposed to be smooth, and I'm trying to create a lengthy bread roll, bread. Although looking at this is not. I'll have to fold this a bit more in so it becomes tighter. So with wheat, you can't really overdo the dough. The more you sort of stretch and fold it or pull it or knead it, the more it creates that gluten structure. Rye is very different. Rye doesn't like this. Rye doesn't like to be handled too much. you theoretically, most of the rye breads you can do without a machine, just like that, because it's so it doesn't have that gluten structure, it doesn't create it. But if you don't create that gluten structure in a wheat dough, it'll become really dry and dense. I guess rye bread is dense as well, but it does have a very strong flavor. Oh well, I think at least compared to wheat. So is this the right technique I'm doing here? I honestly don't know. This is what I normally do with a wheat bread. I try to create tension. I try to create it into like a little ball. And I can see it's still sort of falling apart, which I don't want. So I'm just keep going until it settles a little bit. And then I'll put it in a banneton. So this is the top of the bread. I now put a if you have a really thin rolling pin, you can use that. Mine is quite thick, so I prefer to use the spoon. And I basically press all the way to the bottom, like that. Probably easier with a rolling pin, but all the way to the bottom. But obviously, just one bread. We don't want to part it. And then we get the banneton. And we carefully put this side on the bottom, this side on the bottom of the banneton. So carefully, basically turn the bread around, or the way I normally do it, because I'm not very good at that. And see, I didn't have enough flour here. Carefully. All right. So now we're gonna put towel over it and rest it for 2 hours.
Smell. Yeah. I was green when we were there too, but there's no water, there's no rain.
So what you probably saw when I dropped the bread onto the baking dish, it deflated. The bread was overproofed. I left it for too long. I thought 2 hours is fine because it didn't feel that warm for me, but obviously the bread felt warmer than I did. So it was overproofed. I should have put it in the oven probably about half an hour, maybe even an hour earlier. I should have checked. What happened was that when an overproofed bread, you poke it, you drop it like I did, I dropped it, it will not reinflate because it stood there for too long. It's fine, it's just a bit flatter. It still tastes good. Another mistake I made, because of course I baked it in the evening, which is not when I normally bake bread. I normally bake it in the morning, but I baked it in the evening. I had to change it. I had to put it in the oven when we're having dinner, and I should have turned down the temperature. So it didn't actually, well, it's actually quite dark for my liking. It still looks fine on the inside. It tastes good. As you can see, I just baked it yesterday and half of the bread is gone. Hubby and my mum and even I had a few slices. So it does taste nice, but it was overproofed. So with those hot temperatures at the moment, yeah, I should have not let it rest for all that long, or I should have put it in the fridge. So other than that, give this bread a go. Easy to make. Tastes good even if you do it wrong, like I did. But yeah, I hope you'll give it a go. Like I said before, I'm not the greatest wheat baker because I'm not a huge wheat person. I don't really like wheat bread that much. I prefer rye, but this is pretty good. And that's just plain flour from Aldi. If it would have been baker's flour, probably would have worked out a little bit better too. But This is like basically the cheapest flour you can get. It happens. Still tastes good. It's not wasted. Give it a go. Enjoy. Maybe stick it in the fridge with those hot temperatures coming up this week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to your comments. And yeah, let me know how you went with baking this bread. See you next time. Bye.